Hello everybody, just kind of waiting for just a second to see if some more people show up online, so give me just a minute to kind of get some more. While I'm waiting. Okay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. As I said from my last video, what we're doing tonight is some different biblical signs and prophecies about the end times, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more tonight. Again, this is scheduled from 8 to 9. I don't know if it'll last that long. It may last longer. Just all depends on if we get any questions or anything that comes up, or how much I want to elaborate on some of this stuff that I need to go over. But I do appreciate everybody that's on here and everybody that's watching, and God bless you all, and hopefully this gives you a little more insight into what's coming. Something I did want to say, and I don't think I mentioned it last time, that these videos are Revelation, A Time for Hope. Basically, what that means is a lot of people think that Revelations is scary, but if you have Christ in your heart and you know God and you know what these times will bring, and we will get into that, it's actually a glorious time. It's a wonderful time to be alive right now in this generation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on some things. So give me just a second here. All right. So starting off, let me get on here. I don't know why. There it is. All right. So biblical signs and prophecies. Okay. This is basically, what are we seeing now that shows that the time is near, that the time is coming, the different prophecies and signs that were written in the Bible that we are seeing now. Now keep in mind, these are all things that are factually based. I mean, it's just things that are have been happening and everything. I'm not telling you that, pack a bag because you're getting ready to leave, or that the end time is here. I'm just pointing these things out. You can decide on your own what you believe and what you think. I can tell you my belief. I do believe that the time is near, and I do believe that it is coming. It's coming soon. But I'm going to let you decide what you think about each one of these things, and what where we're going. So, if you think about it, most of you have probably seen or heard this many times. The end is near, right? You always see these guys walking around with these billboards in cities or on TV or in movies or whatever, that they have a sign that says the end is near. But there is something that you should know. The signs from 40 years ago or 30 years ago that were showing up, you may have one or two signs, but that's nothing compared to what they are now. I mean, the stuff that's coming on now, and like what Jesus said, that you will know the time is near by the signs, and he talks about them being like birthing pains, and that he will come quickly. And basically, when he talks about those things, birthing pains, if anybody knows, or if you have had a baby or you're married and whatever, that the contractions, the signs, they start out slow. You got this, you got this, you got this, and the quicker and closer together that they come, it's quicker that, the time is shorter that the baby before it comes out. So when he talks about birthing pains, all these things that are coming about, they're closer and closer together in the different signs. So these times are the times of prophecies, what's going on right now. Most of the book of Daniel can be seen coming true today. So just so everybody's aware of that. All right. So for some reason, this is not going. Please stand by. Alright, well, for some reason, my PowerPoint is not working now. My wife had the same trouble earlier. Two different computers, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on or why it's not working. Let me try getting out of this. Started out great, now it's not working. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to readjust my PowerPoint, so everybody just stand by. All right. Let's see if I can get this going again. Don't know. All right. So I think I got it going again. Yes. So, basically, like I said, the book of Daniel, most of Daniel can be seen coming true today. Okay, 1/3 of the Bible are prophecies, and 1/3 of the Bible is about the second coming of Christ. So this is really pretty important stuff. I mean, if 1/3 of the Bible is about the second coming of Christ, you think maybe God might want us to know about this a little bit. That's why I'm in here. That's why I'm talking about it. Okay, so if everybody knows, or there were like 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that predicted Jesus' first coming. So 300 that predicted his first coming. So guess how many there are in his second coming? There are over 2,500 prophecies about his second coming. So if you don't think it's important, you might want to rethink it. Okay? So, 300 about his first coming, 2,500 about his second coming. It's pretty important stuff that they want us to know about in here, right? So, these are the different prophecies that have been fulfilled by Jesus for his first coming. There's 13 prophecies fulfilled that I have listed here. So the first one you have, he was born in Bethlehem, right? He was preceded by a messenger. That's another prophecy. He was betrayed by friends. That was another prophecy. Given up for 35 pieces of silver. Yep, it was prophesied, and that's what happened. The silver was thrown into the temple. So we know about that. That was also prophesied. That was done by Judas. Then he rode into Jerusalem on a colt, which we know that he did. He came through Jerusalem on Palm Sunday for that. He was pierced in his side when he was up on the cross. That was also something that was prophesied. Okay, his clothing was gambled for. We know that actually happened. He was buried in a rich man's tomb. We know that actually happened, that he was buried in a rich man's tomb. He also had that he was crucified among the wicked, which he was. He had thieves on either side of him. His body would not see decay. That was something else that was prophesied, and that did come true. So then we also have number 12, he was raised from the dead. Okay, that was one of the main things, the main prophecies. That was something that he fulfilled, that he was raised from the dead, and he predicted that that would actually happen. Okay, number 13, he was quiet before his accusers. When he was being accused of everything and he was in front of Pontius Pilate, he didn't say anything for a longest time while his accusers were accusing him of what he had done. And when he was in the temple, the same thing. So those are just some certain ones, the 13 that were actually fulfilled, those prophecies. Okay, so this number here, okay, what do you think the chances of one person in history fulfilling these 13 prophecies is? Okay, this number is huge. All right, so that's 1 in 480 times a billion times a trillion times a billion. Okay, I don't even know if that's a real number. Okay, it's just that's a huge number. All right, but that's not even the amazing part. The amazing part is that is Jesus fulfilling just 13 of the prophecies. Jesus actually fulfilled approximately 280 prophecies to 100% accuracy. Okay, I don't even know what that number would look like. Okay, this is the number for 13, the chance in 13, but 280, I don't even know. I mean, it's just insane. Okay, so you kind of understand that the fulfillment of prophecies, they have happened. And therefore the ones that are coming up about the second coming, which is even more about them in the whole Bible, I mean, those prophecies are coming true also, right? So here's something I want to get into real quick. Bible layers. Okay, so does everyone understand the Bible has different layers? If you look at the Bible is a living Bible. It is God's living word in the Bible, right? And there's different ways to study the Bible, and there's so many different things in the Bible. Okay, it's kind of like a layer cake. All right, so you got your different layers. There are several different layers to the Bible also. So there's the regular storyline. You've got the history of Jesus. You've got life codes. You've got Hebrew codes. You've got biblical prophecies, and so on. There's so much in the Bible that, to study it in so many different ways, it would just take forever. I mean, basically, there's so much in there. Okay, so such as what I'm getting ready to get into right now. Okay, word codes. All right, just trying to show you how amazing this Bible is, right? When reading Genesis, how many of you reading through it would skip through all the begats? Okay, the names, okay, the bloodline. They go through who birthed who, and so on and so on. I mean, there's several of those in the Bible. There's so many. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it gets kind of boring to read through that, and that's absolutely true. And I've done the same thing. I've skipped them before. But if you're looking at codes or something like that, if you really look into it, okay, there's something that I didn't figure this out. A biblical scholar did, and I did take it from him, but it's just amazing, and I want to show you all. Okay, so the first 10 names that are listed in the Bible. All right, the first 10 names that are listed in Genesis in the bloodline. Okay, how many of you know that those names actually tell a story? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what the amazing thing is about this. All right, so in just the first 10 names, you've got Genesis 5:3, Adam, and that means man. You've got Genesis 5:6, Seth is the next name, means appointed. Okay, Enoch means mortal. Kenan means sorrow. Okay, Malaleel, I'm not sure how to say that. I think that's it. The blessed God. All right. Genesis 5:18, Jared, that's the next name, shall come down. Genesis 5:21, Enoch, that's the next name, teaching. Okay. So Genesis 5:25, Methuselah, that's death brings. And then Genesis 5:28, Lamech, it means despairing. All right. And then Genesis 5:32, Noah, means rest. Okay, so if you look at the message, man, appointed mortal sorrow, the blessed God shall come down, teaching, his death shall bring despairing rest. So basically, right there in the first 10 names, if you look at those names, it has the complete story of the Bible from beginning to end. Right there in the first 10 names. I mean, that's amazing. Seeing how this was wrote thousands of years ago in Genesis, and it actually it shows you the whole story of the Bible. Just the first 10 names tell the story of salvation. My point is that there's so much in the Bible that has not been discovered. But God gave us over 2,500 verses and prophecies dealing with the second coming of Christ. Right? It's in the scriptures. And it's in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Why do you think he would do such a thing? I mean, it's right there for us to read and see these messages. All right? So, the reason is so that we would know the end times and what they would bring and how to be ready for heaven on earth. Okay? The second coming of Christ. it is just as important, if not more important, than Christ's first coming. I mean, it was very important that Christ came to earth. Don't get me wrong. I am not trying to minimize that in any way, shape, or form. But the second coming, that's eternity. Okay? It is the end times. What does the end times mean? What do I mean by end times? There's no more time. So if you ask what time it is, it doesn't matter. It won't be any time. It's end time. Okay? So it's eternal. After this, after his second coming, it's eternal. Okay? So I hope everybody understands that. And as Christians and non-Christians alike, we need to be ready. If you're not a Christian, you need to look into it. It's pretty important. For Christians, even some Christians say they're Christians, you really need to know what's going on and how to handle this. Okay, so now I want to look at this timeline. All right, so if you look at a timeline from the beginning of time or beginning of the Bible, all right, present day just happens to be 2,000 years. That's today, 2,000 years and 20 since Jesus, right? Since his crucifixion. So, is it a coincidence that more signs are being seen today than any other time in history? I don't think so. It looks to me on the timeline here that some pretty major things happen every 2,000 years. So from the time of Adam, 2,000 years, to the time of Abraham. Abraham and his people, God chose them. That was 2,000 years after Adam. 2,000 years after Abraham, you have the crucifixion, which, just happens to line up 2,000 years, right? So another 2,000 years from the crucifixion is what? It's present day times, all right? So you really need to think about that, the timeline. I just think some amazing things are happening in these days, and it just so happens to coincide with what has happened every 2,000 years in the Bible. Something amazing, right? So 2 Peter 3:17, Peter's telling us to beware. He says, "Yea, therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfast." So Peter is telling us to be ready in the end, to know the signs. Now is not the time to fall away from God. If you've ever had a relationship with God and you don't now, now's the time to get it back, okay? It's very important. Okay, so prophecy seen today. Daniel 12:4. Okay, let's go through this. "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now, I know I went over that a little bit before, but I'm going over it again. In my last video, I went over it. I'm going to go over it again just a little bit. Okay, in the end, it says, many shall run to and fro. For 2,000 years, the only way to travel by foot or by horse or by camel. Okay, that was it. Those were the fastest ways to travel, horse and camel, basically anything you could ride, right? Animals. But just in the last couple hundred years, or 100 years really, we've started driving in cars, and then the invention of an airplane, and we've been flying in airplanes. You can go around the world and back in just a few hours. So people running to and fro, it's pretty easy nowadays. So in the prophecy where Daniel says people running to and fro, this could be exactly what he's talking about. Because then he also says, and knowledge shall be increased. Okay, so how about knowledge? Okay, how easy is it to get to your phone and look things up? I mean, it's pretty easy nowadays with stuff we have in the computer system and the internet and everything else. Knowledge is so easily obtainable now. It's ridiculous. I mean, people increase their knowledge every time they open up the internet and look something up. Okay? You think I did this whole PowerPoint by going to the library? I think I spent my times looking through encyclopedias and stuff. I mean, granted, I did read the Bible, but a lot of it was actually the Bible online, the Bible that I have online. It's just, it's the internet. Knowledge is so easily obtainable nowadays, and our knowledge has just been increased. So this is the time that was talked about by Daniel, that in his prophecies. Okay, so Matthew 24. Okay, let's just look at this, okay, looking at just what kind of things we're seeing today. All right. So in Matthew 24, it says, "You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Okay. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." Do we see any earthquakes or pestilence or famines in diverse places nowadays? Yes. Yes, we do. When's the last time the United States had a pestilence? I mean, it's insane. When's the last time you've seen so many earthquakes going on around the world and in the United States? It's insane, right? All of these are the beginnings of sorrows, according to Matthew. All right, so it's the beginning. And then Matthew 24:9 said, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations, and for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." Okay, so let's go over this a little bit, the wars and rumors of wars, okay? Recently, a few months ago, Russia was rumored to be in Syria, right? But Russia was denying that they were in Syria, okay? But how often do we hear of wars around the world going on right now? There's wars going on as we speak, right? So you hear of rumors of wars going on, okay? What kind of things do you see in the media? In other countries, there are Christians being killed just for being Christians, okay? So when it says, "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and hate," "they shall be delivered up to you to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Look at China. China was imprisoning Christians. People that tried to hold Christian church or do any kind of evangelizing or anything like that, they're being thrown in prison. Okay, so they're hated just for being Christians. Okay, and recently, how often do we hear of people protesting just because something was said or done that offended them or went against the way that they think? All right, people literally hate others, hate them, that don't share the same thoughts as they do. I've seen this hatred and anger in my own eyes. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it on the streets. I've seen stuff on TV. You can't say anything nowadays without offending somebody. So your belief is not their belief, and so it's subject to their hatred. And that's what Matthew was talking about, right? So, if you look in Revelations 19:17, and we'll get to that way later in this series when I'm going through the Revelations, it says, "And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God." Okay, so why is this significant? Why am I bringing this up? Okay, it's another sign. It's a prelude to a sign. But basically, this is referring to birds gathering for a great feast during the Battle of Armageddon, okay, at Megiddo. So this was in Revelations. Well, here's what I have found. Recently, there have been over 172 new species of predatory birds that have migrated to the Middle East, okay, around the area of Megiddo. 172 meat-eating birds. When I say predatory birds, they eat meat, right? So that means thousands of meat-eating birds now live in the area of where Megiddo is. So I'm sure that's a coincidence, right? It's just some kind of fluke of nature. It doesn't really mean anything, right? No, I don't think so. I mean, these things are coming to pass, and you can look that up. It's easily found on the internet. So, here's something else. Jordanian mountains. In the Bible, it speaks of the Antichrist chasing the Jews into the Jordanian mountains. They are told to run into the mountains. They have to go there and hide out, right? So, the thing is with this, for years, these mountains have been desolate and barren. Nothing up there, all right? But guess what suddenly appeared recently? That's right. There is a freshwater spring in the Jordanian mountains that has created a river flowing there, okay? This is just, a bunch of coincidence, right? I don't know. That's just something 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, there's nothing there, and oh look, now all of a sudden, during these times, there's a freshwater river. So, what an amazing coincidence, right? All right. So, like I said, I'm just throwing out the facts, This is for you guys to decide what you think is going on. All right. So let's look at 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5. Okay? There's so much here. It's easy to see, but it's hard to fathom all this. All right? So 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5 says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good." We see that all the time, right? "Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God," which we see that all the time. "Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such they turn away." All right? So, let's go over this. Lovers of themselves. Okay? How many of you have selfie sticks? I mean, everybody has selfie sticks. There's so many selfie sticks out there. People taking selfies all the time. You can't walk around town without seeing somebody standing there taking a selfie, which I'm not against that. But let me get to something, okay? You also have Snapchat and, these things where people just take pictures of themselves. But the amazing thing is about taking pictures of yourselves, not a big deal if you're on vacation or something like that. But there are over 1 million selfies taken each day on average. 1 million. The average woman, and I'm sorry ladies, but this is what I found, spends approximately 5 hours a week taking pictures of themselves and posting it somewhere for people to see. 5 hours a week. Well, they must really like themselves. That's all I can say. Okay? So then you get into morality. I mean, they're sacrificing that on the altar of happiness because of all the things that want to make them happy. Okay, one particular thing that sticks out to me nowadays is blasphemers. Okay? "Thou shalt not blaspheme." Right? So there's not many things I despise more than hearing my Lord and Savior's name spoken in vain. Okay, using God's name as a cuss word disgusts me. I hate it. I hate hearing it, and I hear people do it all the time. Okay, it's so disrespectful. Okay, now you see it on TV, on regular cable. All right, I hear it all the time. Plus, if that's not bad enough to say our Lord's name in vain and use it as a cuss word, the new thing is they've found a way to make it even worse. Okay? They've started saying or attaching other cuss words along with it. So they don't just say Jesus Christ, okay, but or oh my God, which I just don't like those at all. I'll put that out there. But now they're saying it and putting an F-bomb with it, okay? They're putting an F word in the middle of Jesus Christ's name to make it an even worse cuss word. It's just repulsing, all right? I ask why. Why do you got to make things worse? You're already making it bad? Want to double down on that, I guess? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm done with that rant. All right, so there are so many prophecies about God, people, that it can literally be used as a countdown to the end of days. Okay? Israel is the timepiece. Okay, I'm going to sum it up because there's so much. So you can trust that what I'm saying is true, or get with me later and I'll get you more information, or you can look it up yourself, or whatever you wish to do. Okay? So I'm going to go through these. Whoops, I went too far. Hold on just a second. That's good. We'll just stay there. All right. So as far as using Israel as a timepiece, after the falling away of Jerusalem in 70 AD, the Jewish people were strewn all over the world. Okay, and that was prophesied. So they were thrown all over the world. Okay. In 1948, they finally obtained their land back that God had promised to Abraham. Right? So the Jewish people got their land back. The Jewish people started moving back to their country, which was also prophesied. God said that he would make the land desolate during the time they were gone, and no one else would want it. And he did. But when they returned to the land, he would make it plentiful once again, which he has which we see nowadays. So, I got a picture of Mark Twain on here. Why? Because Mark Twain, he was a world traveler, or thought he was anyway. But approximately 150 years ago, when Mark Twain went to Jerusalem, he made a statement, and he wrote this down, that the land was so desolate that he would never be able to believe the Bible was true when it said that the land would be plentiful again. He stated that nothing would ever grow there. All right? It was just sand and rock and just crud. No good. Okay? At that time, it was desolate. They had approximately 11,000 people living there. That's it. 11,000 people. Less than the town I live in right here. And I don't live in a very big town, but still, it's less, in Jerusalem. Okay? But, let's look at it today. This is present-day Jerusalem now. Okay? They have moved back. The land is plentiful. God said he would do this, and he has done it. Today, the land is so fertile that it produces 90% of the fruit and flowers for European countries. All right? This is in the middle of a desert surrounded by other desolate countries. What amazing coincidence that this just all works out just as it said so in the Bible, right? It's amazing that this has actually happened. I'm dumbfounded. But if you read the Bible, you wouldn't be, because you know what it says. All right? So either these people, Jewish people, just have an amazing green thumb, or God actually kept his promise, right? So, let's look at something else. Trees. Everybody loves trees, right? Okay? In the 1950s, the world started counting trees. They started keeping a documentary, Arbor Day Foundation or whoever, of how many trees were in the world so they can monitor tree growth. Okay? Israel is the only nation in the world that has had a constant increase in tree growth every single year. The only one. Isn't that amazing? Coincidence that's going on? I think it's just incredible. So that's another little tidbit of information for you there. Okay? So, Luke 21. Luke 21 states that when you see these things come to pass, know that we are in the summer of life. The end is drawing near. So let me talk to you. In May, around March, April, May, whenever, each year, has everyone or anybody ever thought, I wonder if summer is coming? Now, summer's coming. It's usually, when is summer going to be here? I wish summer would hurry up, but it's coming, right? The same goes with this. We know it is coming, and we know it is coming soon. Because it says here, when these things come to pass, know that we are in the summer of life. These things are coming to pass. So what do we know? It's the summer of life, right? That's what I'm thinking. So, Luke 21:32. This generation will not pass before the Son of Man comes back. This generation. What generation? Well, Jesus said that when these things come to pass, that the time is near. So, he's talking about the generation of Jews. He's talking about the Jews in this passage, right? So when did the Jews regain their land? It was in 1948. How long is a generation? Approximately 80 years according to experts, maybe 70 years, but 80 years is kind of the main census. Okay, so 1948 until now, it has been about 71, 72 years since this generation started, right? So in 9 years, it'll be 80 years, one generation. 9 years. And it says right here, this generation will not pass before the Son of Man comes back. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty excited. So, possibility. Do not fall away from God. This may or may not take place. I can't tell you for sure, because even in the Bible, Jesus said, nobody knows except the Father. The Father knows the time, right? But I'm just giving you the facts. But as Peter said, when you see the signs, do not fall away from God. I know the signs. I've read about the signs. I'm seeing the signs. This is not the time to fall away from God. Okay? So, there have been approximately here recently more than 50 prophetic signs that point towards the end of days. Okay, I could go over them, but it would just take me several weeks to even get into all of them. Okay, just know that they're out there and that they are real. I've shown you some. I've shown you, a few of them here. Israel is the timepiece. Watching Israel, the different things that's going on. Some of the other prophecies about Israel is that the shekel will become their money again, which it is. They will go back to their original Hebrew language, which they have. I mean, there's just different prophecies that are in the Bible that have been coming true. You can look them up and find them. All right? So, here's the warning, okay? Revelations 22:18, it says, "For I testify to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, God will add to them the plagues that are written in this book. If anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part from the book of life, from the holy city, and from the things that which were written in this book." So basically, you add or take away anything from these prophecies or this book, you're going to lose everything. All right? Jesus says, "I am coming quickly. He who testifies to these things says, surely I am coming quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus." Right? "The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ will be with you all. Amen." So basically, Jesus is telling you, this is it. This is his truth. This is a fact. Here it is. Jesus' final words on this matter. He is coming back. So be ready and always waiting. Look for the signs and know the time is near. All right. So that pretty much ends the presentation that I had for today. I appreciate those of you that tuned in. Hopefully, if you didn't tune in, you can catch it on a recorded. They keep these on Facebook, so you can go back and watch it, rewatch it if you like, and feel free to send me messages, ask me questions. Look at my Probable Cause Christianity page on Facebook. You can always send me questions on there if you have them. I'd be happy to look into anything, give you any more, information that you may want to know. So don't worry about that. If you got questions and you can't get a hold of me right now, just do it later. Also, if you like this video, be sure and like it and share it, please. You can share it on Facebook, but you can give me a thumbs up, and I would really appreciate it. And pass it on to some friends if you want. So we'll probably be doing another one. I will let you guys know for sure. I know I will be. And we'll be getting into more of the actual book of Revelations the next time. So until then, God bless everybody, and stay safe out there.